Have you ever worked at a place that's constantly busy with improvement projects, but at the end of the day, nothing really changes on the bottom line? Yeah, it's a super common and frustrating story. But what if I told you there's a way to focus all that energy, to make it actually count? Well, today we're diving into a powerful framework that does exactly that by combining 3 of the biggest ideas in business. Let's get into it.
All right, so here's our roadmap. We're going to start with something called the improvement trap, why so many companies get stuck. Then we'll talk about our guide out of that trap, the theory of constraints, or TOC. After that, we'll open up 2 amazing toolkits, Lean, which is all about waste, and Six Sigma, which is all about perfection. And then, the best part, we'll see how to bring them all together to get a truly game-changing advantage.
So first things first, let's talk about this improvement trap, because understanding this is key to understanding why this whole integrated approach is so revolutionary.
I mean, seriously. Think about it. This is the question that drives leaders crazy. Your teams are working hard, they're running projects, filling out charts, there's a ton of activity. So why isn't the needle moving on the stuff that actually matters, like profit or output? What gives?
And here it is. The answer is painfully simple. Most of the time, all that hard work is scattered. It's like you're fixing a leaky faucet in the bathroom when the foundation of the house is cracked. These are just random acts of improvement, and they aren't aimed at the one thing, the single thing that's holding the entire system back.
And that, my friends, is where the theory of constraints comes in. The best way to think about TOC is like a GPS for your business. You know, it doesn't just tell you to drive better. It finds your exact location, figures out where you want to go, and then shows you the one single, most important turn to make right now.
You see, the core idea behind TOC is actually really straightforward, but it's incredibly powerful. It says that in any system, and I mean any system, a factory, a software team, you name it, there's almost always just one thing that's setting the pace for everyone else. It's the bottleneck. It's the constraint. If you can find it and manage it, the whole system gets better. If you ignore it, any other improvement is basically just spinning your wheels.
So how do you actually manage this constraint? Use this beautiful cycle right here, the process of ongoing improvement, or PUJI for short. And this isn't a one-and-done deal. This thing is a perpetual motion machine for getting better, a relentless way to hunt for higher and higher performance. And PUJI breaks down into these 5 brilliant steps. First, you identify the constraint. You hunt for that weakest link in the chain. Second, you exploit it. Now that just means you squeeze every drop of performance you can out of it using the resources you already have. Third, you subordinate everything else. Every other part of the system now has one job: make life as easy as possible for the constraint. Now if that's still not enough, then and only then do you move to step 4, elevate. That's when you spend money to improve it. And here's the crucial part. The second it's not the bottleneck anymore, you don't stop. You go right back to step 1 and find the new one. It's a never-ending cycle of improvement.
Okay, so TOC is our GPS. It tells us exactly where to focus. But once we get to that spot, what tools do we use? Well, let's open up our first toolkit, Lean.
Lean has a very clear, very simple mission: hunt down and destroy waste. And the definition of waste is just beautiful. If an activity doesn't add value that a customer is willing to pay for, it's waste, full stop. Lean is all about getting rid of all the extra stuff, all the noise, so you can focus on what truly matters.
And to help us find all this hidden waste, Lean gives us this awesome acronym, downtime. Now, some of these are pretty obvious, right? Defects, waiting around for things, having too much inventory, we get that. But some of them are sneakier, like check out non-utilized talent. That's when you're not listening to the brilliant ideas your own people have. Or extra processing. That's adding bells and whistles to a product that nobody even asked for. Downtime's like our field guide for spotting all the hidden drags on our system.
But, what if the problem at your constraint isn't just waste? What if the problem is that it's unreliable, unpredictable? Well, for that, you need a different kind of tool. You need a set of precision instruments. And that brings us to our second toolkit, Six Sigma.
Just look at that number. Seriously, what Six Sigma is aiming for is just staggering. The goal is to get your process so stable, so consistent that you only produce 3.4 defects for every million times you do something. That's not just good. That is so close to perfection, it's basically impossible to tell the difference.
So how in the world do you pull that off? With data and statistics. Let me break this down.
The outer red lines, the specification limits, that's what your customer needs. The part has to be within those boundaries, or it's no good. The inner black lines, the control limits, that's how your process is actually performing, its natural variation. The whole game of Six Sigma is to shrink the variation of your process, to bring those black lines so close together that they will always, statistically, fall inside the red lines. You're basically designing a process that's incapable of making a defect.
Okay, so we have our GPS, the theory of constraints. We have our 2 specialized toolkits, Lean for waste and Six Sigma for variation. Now it's time for the magic. This is where it all comes together.
And this is really the aha moment. TOC's focusing steps don't just point you to the problem, they tell you exactly which tool to use, where to use it, and when to use it to get the biggest bang for your buck across the entire system. You stop playing whack-a-mole with problems all over the place, and you start performing precise organizational surgery.
So it all boils down to this super simple, super elegant decision. TOC points you to the constraint, then you just ask a simple question. Is the bottleneck inefficient? Is it full of downtime? Great! Pull out your Lean toolkit and get rid of the waste. Or, is the bottleneck inconsistent? Is it producing unpredictable results? No problem. Bring in the statistical power of Six Sigma to stabilize it. It's focused, it's logical, and it's incredibly effective.
Now I know what you might be thinking. This all sounds great on a slide, but does this integrated approach, this TLS framework, actually work in the real world? Let's take a look at the evidence.
Just look at this. This chart is absolutely mind-blowing. When companies tried to improve using only Lean, they got about 4% of the potential benefit. When they used only Six Sigma, they did a little better, about 7%. But when they combined them, using TOC to guide Lean and Six Sigma, they captured a massive 89% of the benefit. Folks, that is not a small improvement. That's a complete transformation.
And that really brings us to the whole point of this. This integrated system isn't just about cutting costs. The entire philosophy is built for growth. It's about generating more throughput, which is just a fancy word for whatever your organization's goal is, by unlocking these huge leaps in productivity for the whole system.
So, I'll leave you with this final thought, something to chew on. Think about your own company, your own team. Is it just busy with a lot of activity, or is it truly focused on impact by finding and fixing the one thing that matters most?